To get rid of those pesky ads, request stories, listen to unlisted and bonus episodes, and to chat with the gang, support us by clicking the description link.
Welcome, everyone, to Talk Murder Me podcast. My name is John. I'm sitting here with Jen and Nicole. We release episodes every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also live stream at Saturdays at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and which we're doing now. And we do one public and then 1 to 2 private streams for our supporters. And you can support us by going to patreon.com/talkmurder and signing up there. Also, I want to say if you are addicted to true crime and you want to hear a really good story told and you want it with some good music behind it, I recommend the podcast that I produce, Among the Dirt and Trees, with our good friend Brienne. She's doing really well lately with her podcast, getting a lot of downloads, and we're loving it. So I think she just hit her episode 130.
Wow, already?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Go Brienne.
Yeah, go Brienne. Just don't surpass us. I'm just kidding.
just do it slightly worse, or we can do slightly better. And
yeah. So
Wow.
check that out. It's a really great podcast. I actually enjoy producing that for her. It's amazing. It's a lot of stories you won't hear anywhere else. A lot of stuff out in nature, obviously. It's called Among the Dirt and Trees. And a lot of stuff like about witchcraft and older kind of stories like that. So
Martin said it is a very good podcast. So thank you, Martin. I appreciate
Thank you, Martin.
that. So we do have a surprise shot. I was hoping he would be here today.
Yeah, where is
for
he?
his dedication, but this one's for Alex.
Oh,
Alex, where are you?
Alex, how's your dad
I
situation?
know. Such a good guy.
Yeah.
Always caring for
His father
daddy.
in the UK.
It's the spotlight's on you.
This is
Jen.
not a specific request by Alex. I did double check to make sure I wasn't missing anything specific. So I picked one that I felt like was both loved by the Brits and also paired well with this episode. So anyway, go ahead.
I'm
Take it away.
curious. It's a clear liquor. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Yeah. And we're also... Martin, are you on the Discord? I don't think you are. Are you on the Discord?
I don't know.
Martin, if you're not on the Discord, get on there because we talk on there
A lot.
quite a bit.
I will get... I'm not as good as I need to be on joining during the week. Work gets just crazy sometimes.
A lot of times I see the notifications and I mean to join, but like I'm in the middle of other things.
I'm there. That sounds fucked up.
You've said worse. Cheers.
This better not be tequila.
I picked it.
Some type of gin.
That is gin.
Fucking shit.
That is a botanical gin. I feel like the Brits love their gin and tonic.
Beef eaters.
And it went well
Our Sapphire has a queen's picture
with
on
the
it.
cucumber. So
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, so dude, I am ready for episode dose. Last week on the Bob Berdella, keeping up with Bob Berdella, we ended with his first victim, Jerry Howell. He didn't really get into the torture yet. He just realized that he had to dispose of this victim somehow because you can't just let him leave. And that's where he decided to just grab a pot and drain his blood. He hooked him up to a beam in the garage and then slit his jugular, yada, 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 and let him drain. In this episode, we're going to be getting into a lot of the torture stuff.
he poured out the blood, then laid a sheet of black plastic on the floor and began the dismemberment. For cuts through the joints, he used the knives. When he had to cut through bone, for example, when he separated Jerry Howell's head from his body, he used the chainsaw.
What you're seeing now is one of the hacksaws used to cut up Jerry Howell's body and all the other ones too. There was only one victim he used his chainsaw for, and this is actually on one of those sites that you can buy. You can buy Bob Berdella's hacking tools.
I
how
don't
much?
know how that's legal. Like, wouldn't it be part of evidence?
Yeah, good point.
The guy...
Good point.
That is a really good... let me show you what I found on it, just because it's very interesting. I would never cross that line. Like, I would never cross that line morally for me. Like, I know other people...
Of buying murder weapons?
No, not buying murder weapons, but so they'll...
He would do that.
No, they'll you'll contact like Chris Watts, for example. Get him to send you something, a drawing, and then you'll sell it. Like, I wouldn't go that far. That doesn't feel morally right for me. But but
Right.
other people do it. And there's this.
So where is your line? Would you buy one of like John Wayne Gacy's
Paintings?
I would buy it, yes, and display it. I just would never sell it for a profit. Yeah, and a lot of people, and I'm not trying to get morally upright about it.
You would buy it for a collection, but you wouldn't resell it because you feel like it would be giving props to the murderer.
I don't know. It's just
How is that different? No, this is a genuine question. I'm not trying to be
because
like,
I'm not
but
making.
how is that different than purchasing
Because this guy's making money, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. A lot of people have a problem with this. This is why I'm saying it. Like a lot of people think it should be banned, but this is the site, one of the sites right here. So
I'm just wondering like how that person got it. Shouldn't that be locked up in evidence?
I mean,
In the police station.
maybe Missouri's different, but you see here, this is $2,500. Robert Berdella buck saw from his home.
Well, maybe that wasn't
Maybe
like
it wasn't
one
a
that was
murder
used.
weapon. Yeah.
It says at the bottom, and all these items say the same thing. All the Bob Berdella items offered here were obtained directly from the estate of Dell Dunmeyer. So
whoever that is.
yeah, so you have like they'll do the drawings and stuff like this is $900. Like I would buy something like that, but I would never resell it. I would personally, for me, that's where I wouldn't cross, But this is kind of cool, like having something like this, like a check.
I kind of get what you're saying. Like you wouldn't resell it, but would you not reselling it, meaning making a profit off of this? Is that different than buying it directly from the criminal? Or like, would you buy it directly from the criminal, or would you buy it from someone who has bought it and reselling it?
My limit personally is I just wouldn't resell it. I don't care who I buy it from, because when you resell it, you're making a profit, and you're making a profit off a murderer. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but
if you're buying,
oh my God, Jen,
no,
dude.
I'm serious. I'm not trying to.
Oh my God.
I'm just wondering how is that different than giving profits to the murderer?
You're not giving profits to the
nothing's
murderer.
going to the murderer.
You're giving the profit
To yourself.
There's this guy that owns a site. You're giving him the profits. What do you mean? I'm not giving Bob Berdella any money. Anyway, this is interesting. Is Shram around on here?
She is.
Yeah, check this out, Shram. You see this at the very top? Dragon Nagari, right there. Boom.
Interesting.
So this is a check signed by him. Insufficient funds.
Well, that happens sometimes.
Holy shit.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is called murderabilia. And, this is the camera and stuff that I showed you earlier. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any moral issues? Now, I don't think Nicole would let me have any of this stuff in the house. So that's another thing.
I mean, yeah.
But I do have a hat from Ed Gein that I wear all the time.
Well, yeah, from the town.
From the town of Plainville, Wisconsin, yeah. Sorry to get off on a tangent. You guys still with me?
I wasn't trying to pick a fight. I was just in like genuinely curious.
I mean, I buy a lot of horror stuff too.
Yeah.
And I know that's fiction, but yeah, I would probably, like, if I could get my hands on one of John Wayne Gacy's paintings, which I don't know if you guys know this, there was a wealthy guy that bought them all and burned them. I don't know if y'all heard that story or not.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
wasn't there a couple of years ago, wasn't there like a traveling showcase that had a bunch of murderabilia in Charleston?
Yeah, where were we at? Wasn't it a comic book store that we were at, or a record store?
You guys went to something that was like a dark magic something.
Oh, you know what? I kind of want to take my mom to the Van Gogh thing while she's here.
Oh, when's she coming?
The day after your birthday, actually.
Oh, okay.
For a couple days.
well, you know what I got to say to that? No, thanks.
Fine. Maybe Jen, my mom, and I will go.
Yeah.
without you.
How long were you
Because-
thinking of that joke?
Oh, look, I'm going to draw a sunflower and another one. And here's another sunflower and another sunflower. Like, dude, have you heard of talent?
Did
you
I
should
send
get
you?
some.
Did I send
you
you,
know what?
the?
All right.
You know
We got to
what?
get on.
Did I send you the picture of the pool that was painted like Starry Night?
No.
I'll have to.
Yeah,
find
you got to send that to me.
This is the chainsaw he used for his last victim, not Chris Bryson, but the one that we're going to talk about tonight. I'm just showing you photos. You can also buy this on that site. I think it was like $50,000 or some shit. And I'm actually really surprised no one has bought it yet.
It's interesting to me how much money these items go for.
Well, yeah, if you got one of it, then you control the price of the market.
Well, that's true. I mean, but it's fascinating how much people are willing to spend.
All right, so
Like that's a salary. That's more than I make.
with with the murder victims tonight, starting with Jerry Howell, this is how Bob Berdella, disposes of the victims. He wraps each body part after he cuts all the body parts up in the bathtub upstairs. And then he puts every body part in several plastic bags, trash bags, and then he wraps those plastic bags inside these doggy bags that he has. Then he'll keep the bags by the front door of the house and wait till the garbage men are on the street, and then he'll run it out there, put it in the garbage can, and then wait in the house watching to make sure the garbage men don't like fumble
Look
through
around.
it. Yeah, because it's dead body parts.
Huh.
So let me talk a little bit about Bob's background real quick. I like to go through this background pretty quick because it's, not gruesome and shit.
Right.
One of our supporters out there, Sydney, I think, said that Bob wasn't very smart. That's actually not true. He was a very intelligent but aloof character. He had a very high intelligence, and it was one of those people that you're so smart for your own good, so you kind of talk down to people, you kind of condescend people, and the normal public does not like that. It's like you know everything, yeah, you're smart, and you're kind of talking down to people. That was who Bob was. His father worked for Ford. He does have a younger brother. Bob has a younger brother, Daniel, who his father liked more because Daniel was into sports and his father was also into sports. As you'll see, Bob was an art guy. He liked the art. That's why you saw on that website, he has all the art from prison, stuff like that. In fact, he goes and studies art in 1967. So his father, Robert Berdella, is the senior, was a Catholic, Irish Catholic, yada, yada, yada. Bob Berdella was baptized as a Catholic, so he does have a problem with homosexuality and stuff like that. Same as in the Dahmer case. He would never admit that he's a homosexual. However, when you look at the facts, that's his victim choice. But just like Dahmer, he had and I think it spawned into his religious beliefs.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Catholicism, it's a big point of shame to be, a homosexual and to, have those curiosities, even if it's not something that you're sure about. It's something that you the catechism recently has the viewpoint in the Catholic Church has shifted from being a homosexual is a sin to the actual homosexual acts is a sin. Like, they're accepting if you have those beliefs, but if you act on them, that's where the sin is recently. But back in the 1980s, to have those thoughts, to be confused about your sexuality or to be a homosexual is something that is not accepted by the Catholic Church in the 80s, especially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was probably a point of shame for him, knowing that he's having these feelings and wanting to act out on them, and because it probably wasn't the people that he was acting out on. It was probably a projection of himself that he was acting out on that. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's not a good thing to act out murder on an innocent victim because you feel ashamed of yourself. But that may be a reason why he was, persecuting these people.
Robert Berdella was more of a mama's boy. At 16, his father dies at 39 of a heart attack. And Bob Berdella, this was kind of his last attachment to his religious beliefs, because he did turn to the Catholic Church and for solace, but they did not seem to reciprocate. They did not help him in any way. They did not help him get through his father's death. As I said, he is an art student, highly intelligent. An art teacher, Ron Simon, once said, quote, "Kids didn't like him and he couldn't care less. Extremely nearsighted. That's why he wore the thick glasses. Slight speech impediment." He bought that house on 4315 Charlotte Street as a college junior, and he dropped out of college because he worked as a short order cook, which is why he uses the boning knives and stuff like that. But
wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. He bought that house as a junior in college?
Yeah.
So probably before he was 21? Dang, the housing market.
Not only that,
well, the house is no longer, so that has not been a profitable property.
No, but I mean, he's also
property.
not around anymore.
Or is he in jail?
He got COVID. I'm just kidding. He died a long time ago. He died from eating from a charcuterie board.
Probably. I mean, colon cancer. That would actually be, that would be karmic retribution if I ever heard of it. Any karmic retribution would be for Berdella, who would fart fuck someone and
Don't say that word, yo.
And then get colon cancer. That's karma.
I'm gonna make Jen read all the fucking shit tonight. How about that?
Go ahead.
So Bob Berdella became a chef and a manager at several different restaurants, mostly a short order cook. He realized that he can make more money doing that than anything else. He wanted to be an art professor, but then he realized, I'm making more money as a short order cook, so I'll just drop out. He did buy a house and he became kind of a full-time chef. In the early 1970s is when he started collecting these weird, bizarro artifacts, human skulls, shrunken skulls, stuff like that. Anything he can find, especially from like the Middle East, the Egyptian culture, stuff like that, little statues or whatever.
He would kind of collect stuff that was more like,
bizarre.
Bizarre, yeah. So, basically, thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
That's Nicole. I'm Jen.
No, I know. Good job.
But she said you're welcome.
So basically any arcane artifacts that he can find, he had friends. He was very likable at first, but he's very rude. Very rude man. Like I said, he's very condescending if you're not on his intelligent level.
I hate that. I hate condescending people. That's literally the worst. Like you could be like talk behind someone's back, but like that's one thing. But
and that's cool.
No, I'm not saying it's cool, but I think it's like worse to be condescending to someone's face.
Really grinds your gears.
Grinds my gears. It does. Like I really every day want to punch that person in the face.
That sucks.
Like I really do. I know it's so bad, but I cannot stand condescending people. Like you're not better than me. You're not better than anyone else. You are human. So stop being fucking rude.
This is how weird this guy is. In art school, he sets up. No one understood his sense of humor. And this is what I mean. In art school, he set up this weird experiment for a grade. This was like a project. This is fucked. He made this maze. It's about the size of this room, per se. Like a maze you walk through. Cardboard, stuff like that. And he gave the people walking through the maze, when you come up to the maze entrance, he would give you a baby chick, a live baby chicken, like a little baby. Little baby. And just eat it like a chicken nugget.
God, that's terrible. Is that where the idea of chicken nuggets came from?
Anyway, he gave anyone entering the maze, his fellow students, this baby chicken. They would walk through the maze, and the maze was pretty easy. Once they reached the very end of the maze, there was a TV screen in front of them, and they were like, what is this? On loop on this TV screen was a baby chicken being blown up. So he had attached fireworks, whatever, to this baby chicken. Now, what do you think the point of that is?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Bob set up a small maze, gave the people entering a baby chicken completed maze, a video of a chicken being blown up. Many times the person holding the baby chick would involuntarily squeeze the chick to death.
He gave everyone entering the maze a baby chicken. When they completed the maze, there was a video of a chicken getting blown up. That would involuntarily, you see that and you're like, ah! You're involuntarily squeezing your hand, which contains the baby chick.
No!
So you're killing the chick that he gave you.
Why would he do that?
What do you mean? I mean, he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's terrible.
All right, we're going to run through real quick the previous arrest, and then we're getting right into the butt fucking. Which is what you guys want.
Okay.
All right. He had already been interviewed previous times before his final arrest for 2 of the missing cases. So they were watching him and questioning him, but they just could not prove anything. One detective informally said and this book is from a detective, or from the sergeant at the case. He said the following, informally, not on record. Quote, there was a standing order to fuck with Bob Berdella whenever possible. So, yeah, this is before the Chris Bryson. All right. So arrested 3 months later, he was arrested for all kinds of stuff, mostly with drugs. He was a petty drug dealer, but he did have the best type of drugs. He had animal tranquilizers, which a lot of the cases, the druggies would come to his house specifically to get injected, which is weird. They would want to get injected with animal tranquilizers.
So he would inject these people because they consented to being
injected.
Of them, yes. with animal tranquilizers, and then while they were passed out, he would do stuff to them.
But yes, yes. Now, not all the time, but yes, that's what it was, basically.
And they wouldn't even know because they were unconscious.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a win-win for him because he's making money and getting some.
Would that be a win-win for you, Jen? All right, so this is some of the journal entries right here. This is kind of crazy. So, and this is, we're going to go over who this is from, but I just wanted to show you an overview of the journal here. So it says stuff like photo, close off, no react, Fing F, 950 Fing F, which is finger fucking, 1/2 cc of ket, which is...
Ketamine?
There you go, ketamine.
Special K?
Yeah, special K. In the arm, no react. So he's journaling all this. 1015 BF, which is...
Fuck.
Best friend.
Oh, right.
I'm just kidding.
I forgot.
Boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
1015 butt fuck, no reaction. So obviously the guy is out. 1030 tight arms. Read 1050, Jen, since you're, what does that say? 1050 right here.
Carrot fuck. Slight resistance. 1.5 cc CPNK.
CP is the
Chloroform?
No, it's some animal tranquilizer. But yeah, so let me tell you.
He was fucking people with carrots?
Let me tell you. All right, we're going to go.
At least he wasn't chopping their fingers off.
I'm going to show you my...
Like I don't know whether to clench my hands or my butt.
I'm gonna show
Both.
Close all your holes and clench your fists.
I'm gonna show you my notes real quick. So test need. This is from his journal. Means needle. Well, actually, don't look. I'm gonna quiz you.
No.
All right. So beefy BF means butt fuck. What is?
It doesn't mean beefy because like a burger sounds actually really good right now.
All right. What does CUC space R mean?
I don't know.
It means cucumber rape.
Ew.
CF means what?
Carrot fuck.
Carrot fuck or cucumber fuck.
Oh, it could be both.
FF.
What's the difference between cucumber rape and a carrot fuck or a cucumber fuck? Like, what's the difference between a fuck and a rape?
There is a very, in here, he specifies the difference between a fuck and a rape.
Can you please enlighten us?
Yes.
Because I'm very confused.
A rape.
He does not consent
from his journal.
Because I don't see how they would consent to any of this, but that's just me.
Listen, a rape from his journal annotated with RP, capital R, capital P, rape.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that is definitely worse, so it should be capital letters, but go on.
Is when his captive is conscious and resisting. So a carrot fuck would be, he is out, he doesn't feel anything, I'll stick a big old carrot up his butthole. A carrot rape is, he is resisting, but I'm still sticking the carrot in his butthole and he is squirming. That's the difference between carrot fuck, CF, and carrot rape, CR. All of those were annotations.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone, either case.
All right, FF.
Finger fuck.
No. He put finger fuck is FING space F. FF, you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah.
FF is either fist fuck or front fuck, which means front fuck is like dry humping friction fuck.
I thought I thought FRT was front.
Chin's over here taking notes.
I'm like trying to keep. You told me it wasn't fart, and it was front, and I just don't understand how he's changing his journaling. So wait. So front fuck could be FF.
Let's just say it's fist fuck. Most of the time, it's fist fuck.
No, I don't know.
Which means a fist in the boots.
It's a one-way street. It's not, no.
And in fact, at least one person died of
a fist fuck.
A fist fuck. The internal wall in the what do you call it? The bowels bleed.
I'm very curious, but I am not curious at the same time. Like my morbid, gross needs to know kind of part of me needs to know how one would get a fist up your anus. I don't understand.
You can literally go to Pornhub and see that shit.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to see it.
No.
I just want to hear
840 CF. What's that? What does that mean? Hall asked, dreading what he suspected would be the answer.
I believe at the time that was a carrot fuck.
Berdella said. Can you tell us what you mean by a carrot fuck? Hall asked. Though he had absolutely no desire to hear the explanation, he wanted everything explained. And this was one of the more sickening acts depicted in Berdella's photo collection.
I used the carrot to sodomize the anus. That's what he said. Jen, all right, we got to get this Chris Bryson thing out the way.
Yeah.
Okay, because I said we would do that. So I'm going to run through that, and then we're going to get to some serious BF.
Oh.
Bryson was the last victim, although he escaped. So he was in the throes of getting it all mapped out. Luckily for him, he got out within 5 days. But since then, he had a routine. Bob Berdella developed a routine for his captives, and he would call them captives. The routine for Bryson was as follows. Bob Berdella, when he wakes up, he would rape Chris, and then once again at night before sleep. Bob Berdella worked at a shop in the flea market, the Bob's Bazaar. Usually, and he didn't have set hours. Sometimes 11 a.m. to 5, sometimes 1 p.m. to 3. A lot of the days he didn't make any money at all. He had no customers, and he wasn't making a lot. So I'm guessing he marked up some things and made 1 or 2 sales during the week.
Well, yeah, I feel like his shop would only attract a specific clientele.
Yeah, but a lot of times he just wasn't making any money, so he had a lot of time to sodomize. Bob Berdella placed Chris on his back in the morning. He tied his hands and feet together and then tied dog collar to the bedpost and his feet to the bottom of the bedpost. He usually put a washcloth in Chris's mouth, and then the leash is tethered to the top of the bedpost. He would turn on the TV so Chris couldn't hear anything. And this is one of the things that I found very interesting that he did that was innovative. Bob Berdella took some caulk and then caulked in the ears so the victim couldn't hear anything. This wasn't necessarily painful, but it was more or less so they couldn't hear what was going on. They couldn't hear Bob coming in and out. They couldn't get his
but
routine.
that's still not okay.
Yeah, but this is very innovative. I've never seen anyone do that.
Me either. And I would not recommend. 0 out of 10 stars.
At this point, Chris would receive regular shock treatments and enemas. Bob would take care of the victim, or of Chris, his captive, by giving him a routine enema. And this is so things would get cleaned out. And this is actually the enema device right here. And you can also buy this. I mean, if you want something that was shoved up someone's asshole, you can buy this. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, no.
I mean, what the fuck? Who buys this shit?
Hopefully not you.
I mean, this is the thing that was shoved up people's shooters.
Again, how is this not... like, seriously, though, how is this not in evidence?
Dude, don't ask me. I mean, this is the evidence fucking folder right here, bro. That's the evidence folder.
So why was it... I don't understand. Like, why was it released? How did someone get their hands on this? I'm seriously... I'm not asking you. I'm just asking.
I honestly do not know. Every murder house, or every time a crime takes place, why do they put the cops out there? To protect the house. So people, I mean, because you got people stealing shit. They want to steal things in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, what we did remember the Versace case?
Yeah.
Do you know what the women were doing?
What?
Specifically the women. When Gianni Versace got shot, he got shot right in front of his gate of his palace.
Right.
In Miami.
Yep.
When the cops were there were women and men probably, but I know definitely women got caught with this. They would take handkerchiefs and run up to the crime scene and swap it in the blood. Now they have Versace's blood on the handkerchief.
Yeah.
And we covered that. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Ed Gein. You know, now I said I wouldn't cross the line, but I would if it was a murder that happened hundreds of years ago. Let's say the Bloody Benders. If I could get like their saw or something, that would be cool. I mean, this was like 1860s.
I still would.
Okay.
Anyway, all right, let's move on.
All right, moving on.
That's
Sorry.
okay, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, anyway, At the time, he got regular shock treatments and injections of drain cleaner to the vocal cords, as we talked about. He also got enemas. Chris actually had to ask permission to speak, and one victim we're going to talk about did comply completely, as Bob wanted. He would be led from room to room with the leash, just like a dog. The escape happened 4 days in. He had asked to have his hands tied in front instead of over his head, like his hands were tied to the bedpost over his head. And this is something, if you ever get tied up in this situation, maybe you should think of this. He asked to have his hands tied in front so he because they were getting really uncomfortable. And Bob complied with that. After Bob left for his work, Chris was able to get his right hand free. He grabbed a book of matches, which Bob had dropped, because at this point Chris was complying enough where Bob bought him cigarettes. This is only a few days in.
Right.
He grabbed the matches and burned the final remaining ropes, and then he proceeded out the window. That's how his escape went.
Again, like I said in the first episode.
Now, let's talk about the second victim. I'm going to show you a Polaroid picture right here. This is the first one. Can you please describe his face? This is Todd Stoops. I titled this in my notes, the 17-hour torture extraordinaire. This was the longest torture that Bob has done. And the detectives were asking him, well, don't you get tired and stuff like this? And Bob would say, not at first. So he could go about 20-something hours torturing before he needs sleep. So this is that Polaroid here. Can you describe his face especially?
Shocked. I mean, terrified. Just wide-eyed. Mouth is bound. Not good.
So I'll put this on talkmurder.com, the photo here, but this is from the Kansas City Police Department. Todd Stoops receiving a 7,700 volt jolt of electricity from Berdella. You see his hands are tied behind his back and intertwined with a metal pole. So they're kind of tied around that. You see the voltage clamps, which are the alligator clips. One is in his right arm. You see he's got something in his mouth like a gag, and his face, especially if you look at his eyes, it is just it's horrible to look at. He is in clear shock, and his eyes kind of tell it all. You see there, right there, his eyes. Mm-hmm. I think that's very interesting to look at. So this is one of the few Polaroids that they actually released. I think it's very interesting. You see the pain and the just confusion that he's going through. Pretty nuts, eh?
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Todd Stoops, as you saw, he was a 21-year-old, muscular and attractive to Bob. This is probably why Bob Berdella spent 17 hours on him. They had met a few times, and like a lot of the victims, Bob has helped them quite a bit. Gave him drugs, and even tried to get him off the street from hustling. Tried to get him not addicted to drugs. Him and his wife, Rachel, were on the streets selling their bodies for drugs. So Todd Stoops was hooked on 1-in-1s, which 1-in-1s, that is a mixture of both Ritalin and Tauin, which is another, I guess, upper injection. So you mix both Ritalin and this other upper together, and that's what a 1-in-1s is. In 1984, Todd was arrested, and Bob actually showed up and pleaded with the judge. Showed up at his trial, pleaded with the judge. He said, listen, I know this guy has a drug problem. Now, this is 2 years before he even thought about murdering. So he's just a good guy minus all that shit. You understand that?
Yeah.
He said he would assign himself as a probation supervisor, and they actually signed Bob Berdella, well, to them, from what the report says, quote, Dr. Berdella, to be his probation supervisor. So he lied and said he was a doctor, right? 2 years went by, and after that is the next time Berdella actually saw Todd, and he was right back out there hustling. He was a chicken hawk. June 17th, 1986, he gets into Bob's car and, quote, this is what Bob says right here. I'm going to read this. This is his exact words to the detective, because he ended up confessing to all these.
Right.
Quote, Todd died because at one point I fist fucked him, rupturing the anal wall, and between the loss of blood and infections that set in, he died of not getting proper treatment. This was a 17-hour torture session. He picked him up on the 17th at 11:30 p.m. He was hustling. At 5:20 p.m., the first journal entry was made, and it says ket, which is ketamine, and then sodomies. At 7 p.m., he snapped the first photo, and he said his eyes were, quote, fixed. At 7:40, he did something that was also very innovative that I found very interesting. Do you know how before he took the transformer? And if you want to shock someone with the transformer, you got to do what? You got to put these alligator clips on them, correct? Wherever. You put them wherever, but you clip them to them. However, if you want to, quote, move that pain around, is what Berdella said, you would have to then turn off the the transformer machine, remove said clips, and then reposition them. However, if you wanted to move that paint around, how would you circumvent that? What he did, and since he's a chef, he had access to this, and anyone has access to this really, but he took 2 spatulas. And you know how you were saying earlier about the, what do you call it?
The jumper cables?
Clear.
Oh, the defibrillator.
Defibrillator. He hooks the cables, alligator clips, up to these metal spatulas, the cooking spatulas.
Yeah.
And he used the ends, the flat ends, as a defibrillator-ish. Now he can not have to worry about turning the machine off and shocking himself, but just move around different parts of the body.
Well, I mean, he would have to hook it to something that had a rubber conductor so that he wouldn't shock himself when he touched the metal.
When you say to the eyes, Hall started, but Berdella cut in. This was with the eyes closed, Berdella said, but using them as one of the areas that the electricity would enter. So the eyelid? Yes, through the eye. At this point, I was trying to blind him, Berdella remarked unemotionally. And why were you trying to permanently blind him? Hall asked. To disable him. As far as any long-term captivity.
So he actually, with the guy's eyes closed, took these spatulas with 7,700 volts of electricity and placed said spatulas on Todd Stoops' eyes. That is horrifying. I'm really surprised that didn't blow his eyeballs straight out of his head. Think about that amount of electricity. Think about this. If you're in the US, you have 120 volts coming out of your outlets. If you're in the UK, you probably have 240. Either way, you stick a knife in there, that's going to wake you up. It's going to stick your hair up and you'll probably never do that shit again. It's going to shock you. Because didn't you stick a knife in didn't you do that recently or something? You did something like that.
It was the light switch, not a socket. And I was trying to push the wires back in.
And did it hurt?
It was still hot. Yeah, it shocked me.
That was 120 volts. Think about 7,700 volts.
Yeah, it hurt my whole arm.
7,700 volts through your eyeballs, through those metal spatulas. That is intense. I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that his eyeballs didn't blow out of his head.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean,
11 p.m. CF, which is cucumber fuck on this one, plus more shocks. Midnight approaches, 2 o'clock. This is journal notation. 2 BF, butt fuck. 4 o'clock, quiet, talking about the victim here, Todd Stoops. Quiet BF, quiet butt fuck. So he was quiet, then he got butt fucked. 4:30 a.m., 4 acipromazine injections. 4:40.
That seems excessive.
4:40 a.m., so 10 minutes later. CF/CF, which is carrot fuck and cucumber fuck. Quote, grunts, no movement. 5:30, whimpering sounds. 3 cc's of ket, which is ketamine. 6:30, front overhead fuck, no reaction.
Front overhead fuck?
Front overhead fuck, yes. That's very interesting.
What does that even
you just
mean?
asked that. The Polaroids were of him sodomizing and doing this to the victims. And what is also interesting is some of his body parts made it into those Polaroids, like his stomach and his knee or whatever. So, but you can't tell it's him specifically. I mean, you can, but the detectives had to recreate these images with Bob. So they had to have Bob sit in these weird positions, and like the detective would put his finger out like it was a carrot, and Bob would like wrap his fist around the carrot finger, and they would recreate these photos. This is one of those weird true crime facts that is just out there.
I don't like that.
Anyway, one notation had the following, quote, anal bleed, which was after FF, which is...
Front fuck.
No, not front fuck. No, not the finger fuck is FINGF. FF is...
Fist fuck.
Fist fuck. Anal bleeding fist fuck. Quote, at the time that I fist fucked him, he did not bleed, but then started to bleed rather heavily, end quote. That's from Bob.
Ugh.
The tortures then continued from 11 a.m., or the tortures continued until 11 a.m., and then Bob goes to work at the flea market.
Right.
So he's doing his thing. At 3 p.m., he comes home, and more sodomies, more injection. Now, he wanted to measure the pain response because this guy is woozy. He's in and out of consciousness. He doesn't really know if he's feeling any pain. So he takes each finger and he bends it back as far as he can.
No.
As far as he can.
No.
and he measures the pain response. Oh!
So you have both carrots and finger abuse in this episode, and I don't like either of them, especially because carrots I usually associate with fingers. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Ugh.
If y'all want me to do one more episode with more of the tortures, he did come up with a few more things. I didn't see where he did it, Todd Stoops, because this is the second victim, but if we do another one of these, we'll talk about what he calls his acupuncture techniques, and specifically anal acupuncture and some other places where he would put some needles. Anyway, nearly 2 weeks went by, and let me show you the picture kind of before again. So you guys saw this picture.
Yep.
He's skinny, right, Jen? Pretty skinny guy.
Yeah.
Look at this picture, and let's see what he looks like 2 weeks later. This is what he looked like 2 weeks later.
Ooh, that's a lot.
He looks like a concentration camp
He's very,
victim.
very malnourished.
Malnourished. Bob actually shaved his head so he would look more like a concentration victim. The photo caption here says, Todd Stoops after 2 weeks as a hostage, June 1986. His appearance changed so dramatically, police did not recognize Stoops from Berdella's earlier photos of him. They actually thought that this was a different victim. This is the same guy. He looks like Skeletor here. He hasn't been eating because Bob hasn't been feeding him, but he has been keeping him alive through regular penicillin shots and stuff of that to keep the infections off. So I said that Bob Berdella is a sexual sadist. This is very interesting. In a study of 26 sexual sadists, 23 of the sexual sadists that were studied, 23 of the 26 meticulously recorded their criminal events. Most of them had some sort of OCD, obsessive compulsive personalities. They needed to make sure, and this is the word that the behavioral psychologists used, they needed to feel, quote, complete when they documented and took the photographs, and even Jeffrey Dahmer building a shrine. They were doing this torture stuff, but it wasn't fulfilling them. They needed to have something complete. So they knew the victim was going to die, like Todd Stoops obviously is about to die. They need to complete his life cycle in some way. That's where the photographs come in with Bob Berdella, and for Jeffrey Dahmer, the skulls on the shrine, stuff like that. They needed the end of the story. If you don't understand it, good, you're not a sexual sadist. They also have strong fantasy lives. Think about the Dragon Nagari, right? Fantasy lover. They think all the time. They're in their own heads about their different fantasies. They come up with the dungeon ideas and stuff like this. They're usually sadomasochists, but that always starts innocently, usually by a willing partner. However, how many willing partners are out there? Plus, that shit gets old because sadomasochism is, willing. Oh, God, that hurts. Yeah. Oh, no, don't do it. No, that kind of hurt too much. Let's dial it back. That doesn't fulfill them. You know what I'm saying? They want the pain. That's what sadomasochism is. So at first, it starts with willing, and then it goes to unwilling, obviously. Then at the very end, it goes to sex slaves, which is what Berdella was doing. He was walking his victims around like a dog. All right. So I'm going to talk about his MO real quick, and then we'll stop. The MO are usually transient boys. And when I say boys, I mean young men, 18 to 20. Transient. They're selling themselves on that same street. They were looking for drugs. He would take them back to his house, shoot them up with anything. A drug user, they don't care if it's crack or animal tranquilizers. They'll do anything. And that's what usually happened. They usually willingly accepted a shot of animal tranquilizers, which is the animal tranquilizers were received by Bob by his vet. He has 3 chow chows. So, and I guess they're rowdy. So he got all these animal tranquilizers.
Aren't chow chows the dogs that have black tongues?
I think so, yeah.
That's so weird.
If you want to read number 10, he had plenty of roommate boarders to pay for his lifestyle because his bazaar wasn't really working that well. So this is from one of the survivors.
Bob shot me up and Paul with these 2 drugs, and the drugs rendered me totally helpless. I could see what was going on, but was unable to move or speak. I can't say whether or not Bob had sex with me while the three of us were on the bed because I was totally out of it.
You see, they don't even know if they had sex or not. Another 19-year-old DJ Blankenship said he was struck with the tranquilizer. Quote, "That's all I can remember from that night is the initial stick. I passed out from the downer." A few months later, DJ Blankenship runs into Bob again. Quote, "He started talking about bondage. He asked me how I felt about it, and I told him I didn't like it. He got pissed off and started to use force. That's when he tied up my hands. He tied up my left hand first and then rolled me over and tied up my right hand to the head of the bed." This is before he had the kill. So he's starting with willing partners, and this is the transition between willing and unwilling. And once you pass that barrier of, okay, you're unwilling, but I went too far. I rubbed fucking bleach in your eyes. Shit. Like, I can't let you go. That's his dilemma at this point. He did like thin, white-haired 20-year-old boys from a broken home, no job, no ambition, living day to day and bisexual. So, this is a quote from the book. The detective says, "But anger towards all of these young men?" Bob says, "That's correct." And the detective says, "You thought these young men were using you?" "Yes, and that was your way of getting back at them." And he says, "Or being able to recast myself in a role that would allow me to deal with the reality that I was going through. Possibly the way I handled situations prior to this. I saw myself in a weak state. This was a way where I was no longer weak and helpless." So a lot of these guys, he would help. He would try to help get off the street. He would, as an adult, he would take in these young boys and get them back into a better life. And then it transitioned to this. So I don't know, we actually got to stop there because we got to go meet my parents. But for you guys, I hope you liked that one. I'm going to do one more with more of the torture and stuff. We got to cap it off. But I hope you guys like that. Anyway, I hope you guys like that. Tune in with one more episode on Bob Berdella, and then I'm done with him. I'm going to move on to bigger and better things. But until next time, my name is John, sitting here with Jen and Nicole. Good night, you lovely, lovely people.